So I'm actually very excited about this panel. It's funny, my team and I were talking last night. When you come out to CES the first week of the year, it always sort of feels like you're getting shot out of a cannon, and then getting to see great people out here and talking to new friends and seeing what's happening from a partnership perspective and an innovation perspective is what this panel is all about. So very happy to be joined by Alison Levin, who is the president of partnerships and advertising at NBCUniversal, and Ali Miller, who leads product management and the ads business at Instacart. So we're going to be talking about how we're actually transforming advertising through partnerships and innovation. And these two companies are doing a lot of really interesting stuff together. And even as I've gotten to know you guys and your businesses, it's been really fun to learn about what they're doing. So I'd love to just have you guys start with us, bring it up to the highest level from a market perspective. What are the trends that are driving a lot of what you're doing right now? So there's a lot of consumer behavior shifts. What are the things that you're thinking about as you are looking to innovate?
I can kick us off and please add. So one of the biggest trends that we're seeing in the retail media space right now, which is where I've been kind of living and breathing for the past few years, is convergence. And that really is all about, what we're doing with this partnership together. So retail media really started as this incredibly fast growing kind of almost isolated space within the industry. As it started to grow and as brands started to see the benefits of that closed loop information, getting to actually reach consumers at the point of purchase and understanding what those behaviors really were, getting that full understanding of what the actual consumer shopping behavior was, especially for CPGs who don't often have a connection to that final point of sale, that's been really, really valuable. But now what we're seeing is the power of that data can actually connect the entire ecosystem from every part of the funnel on down to the bottom. And so that's where it kind of comes into the idea of using that first-party data like Instacart has to connect with incredible content and incredible moments of inspiration and discovery that consumers have, and then being able to follow that all the way through to the actual purchase so brands can really understand the full impact of their advertising. It's been a really exciting moment for the industry.
That's great.
Yeah, I think, and first let me just say thank you so much for having us. And this is Ali and I's take two of getting to do this together.
Yes.
I did it in a previous world, so it's always wonderful to be up
Great
here
to be
with her and a
you.
great product leader. I think one of the interesting things is, especially, we're at CES, right, where it's all about change and how much has changed sort of in the industry. I walked into my room with a digital key card and I couldn't even open my shades without pressing a button, right? Like there's so much around us that has changed. But we are talking to CMOs and marketers and agencies all the time. And actually, it's been quite consistent of what it is they're trying to accomplish, which is, one, to get a larger share of the demand that exists in their marketplace, and two, drive more demand. And that equation of sort of how you do that has been consistent over the years. You have to reach as many people as possible, and you need to engage those people deeply, and that combination drives performance. But now that the how you get to those two buckets, I think, has been changing rapidly. Of course, for us at NBCU, we reach 90% of US households in a given month, but how we reach them has changed dramatically. So our focus has really been to help marketers to get that holistic reach, to have partnerships like we do with Instacart to find the right consumers, and then how do we tell stories within our stories to really break through. And to Ali's point, that data feedback loop is critical to understand performance, to get smarter about it, to help our clients understand where they should invest and why. It's why we're so excited about the partnership today and making those investments to help it make it easier, I think, than it's been for marketers.
Yeah, I think what's been really interesting actually as we've gotten to know each other too, and just thinking about Instacart more as a grocery technology company. I know that there are a lot of people that know that already, but the infrastructure that you have that actually empowers a lot of this movement, and NBCU always has had it and always has been that infrastructural piece. But as you think about the audiences that you're addressing and you're looking to create value both individually and together, you've started to move into the B2B space. You obviously are always about making sure that you're creating value for your brands and the advertisers who are on the platform. How do you think about that whole customer journey, and how are you thinking about like who actually matters to you and what you're doing to make sure that you're not just looking at consumers, but B2B as well?
Definitely. On the Instacart side, it's been very natural for us to really focus on that B2B space. So as you said, we're a grocery technology company. We are not a retailer ourselves. We're all about enabling retailers to participate in this increasingly online and omni-channel ecosystem and make sure that everyone from the local independent grocers to the larger, more established grocers can participate and actually reach consumers in this new way. So we work with 1,500 retail partners on our platform. And a big part of that ecosystem is also the brand. the brands whose products are being sold at each of these retailers and who are working with us to reach consumers at that targeted moment, at that point of purchase, and increasingly beyond our platform. So it really has been a big focus of ours to think about each side of that marketplace, from the consumer to the shopper who's actually picking out and delivering the items on your behalf, to the retailers, and then also to the brands. So each point of that, we really ask ourselves, how do we drive the most value? How do we make sure this is a great experience all around? And a new and exciting part of this has now been looking at beyond the Instacart app, beyond the actual act of shopping, all those moments between shopping, all those moments of inspiration and discovery. How do we make sure that the consumer can also get that targeted message and actually have an opportunity to buy the thing that they're seeing in the commercial? That's something that can be really powerful. It's something we've used as Instacart ourselves as marketers, in addition to now offering this full capability to our brand partners. So it's been a great journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think our businesses in some ways are pretty similar when you think about sort of the marketplace ecosystem. We believe strongly that consumers have a relationship with IP, not delivery mechanism, right? No one's sitting around like, I saw the funniest clip on YouTube or the funniest clip on my Samsung TV. You're saying, I saw the funniest SNL skit, right? And so we are really focused as an organization to making sure that the content that our viewers want to see is available to them when they want to see it. Like we were talking backstage about the Olympics and what a success that was. And we were really, really focused and invested on making sure if you wanted to see it on TikTok, you could see those clips on TikTok, on YouTube, on Peacock, where you can watch every single piece of content, or of course, if you still wanted to watch it on the linear feed, right? So for us, it's similar. We really want to make sure that our consumers get access to this incredible content and IP, and we're really invested in making sure that they have that opportunity to do that and can enjoy it wherever it is that they want to.
Yeah, and it was phenomenally done. It was a really good Olympics.
Incredible
Yeah.
Olympics.
Yeah, and just being able to find and curate and watch what you want, but in a way, like, I mean, we're a technology company as well and do ad serving with you guys, and to help make sure that things are happening in a really complex live targeting at crazy scale, it is not easy. So really, congratulations. Really, really powerful. I'd love to hear from both of you more about the partnership journey that your companies have been on, because it's been a couple of years. I know you have new things that have come out, but just talk to us about how you partner. What are the things that you do together? Ali, you've mentioned the data and how that actually is imbibing a lot of what you're bringing to advertisers, particularly CPGs. So either one of you, I'd just love to hear what the partnership journey has looked like.
Yeah. So the partnership actually started on the consumer side. So with Instacart Plus, you got access to Peacock subscription as well. And I think it was really the beginning of what we realized, like our cultures aligned, the teams like working together. There was a really close alignment on the consumer. Of course, you have Instacart, which is a digital first consumer. Peacock is a digital first viewer. So there was great overlap and synergy there. And I think both of those teams felt strongly that the performance was even better than they'd imagined. And then a year ago, I think around this time at CES, we sat down and said, there's so much more that we can do to amplify this in the ad industry. And we knew that, I'd worked previously with Instacart as well. Great team, scrappy, really entrepreneurial. Our team as well wanted to really transform how we think about targeting and attribution and closing that data loop, and that they were a perfect partner for us to do that together with. So we went to market with the Alpha, where essentially advertisers can take the incredible data that Instacart has and marry it to Peacock, which is obviously one of the largest streaming platforms in really premium environment, and then understand attribution for those campaigns. And the Alpha sold out even faster, I think, than we had imagined, and we just started getting the data back from it, which really has been even stronger. We knew it would be strong, but was stronger than we had anticipated. So again, it's just really the start of what we are going to be doing together.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, the teams have loved working together. That always makes these partnerships really easy, from the technical side to the partnership side and everything in between. And really going on this journey again, kind of anchoring on what is the consumer value we can drive together. Anyone who does have an Instacart Plus subscription, please make sure that you're taking full advantage of your Peacock subscription that comes along with it. I certainly enjoy it myself. And then everything from, Instacart's marketing team collaborating really closely. You mentioned the Olympics. Like, we worked on the virtual concessions campaigns together, where you could actually order items directly from those commercials. That was really exciting and a great way to prove that value that we can now bring to brands directly. And then moving on to what we can offer our mutual brand partners, and making sure that we can fully make use of that strong kind of first-party data foundation that we've been building and making sure that brands can then reach those high-intent audiences and drive conversion and understand full purchase behavior on the other side. It's been a great journey and definitely a lot more to come on that.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we had a thesis that this would happen, but we were so excited about. I mean, I think when you take a step back, it is no surprise that television moves products off the shelf, I think, because of the reach that it drives, because of the engagement that it drives. But we believe strongly that actually being able to find the right audience at the right moment using more precise data segments is going to be stronger than using a general 18 to 49 or 25 to 54. And with one of the campaigns that we did for Jif, we saw that actually the ROI was 6 times stronger when you use the first-party data segments that Instacart had for peanut butter buyers versus, women 25 to 54. Again, it's intuitive, I think, to us in this room that would happen, but 6 times, I think, is stronger than we had imagined. And it just shows that there are ways to be thinking about activation differently, and a lot of advertisers and marketers need that proof point to help them take that leap in ways that they haven't before.
The compression of the funnel is super interesting to me. Obviously on the streaming side, and we're a CTV company, so we live that and see that every day. But just to see how many people in the room have actually bought something from an ad on TV using their phone. More than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise.
It is a CES crowd. But
yeah, that's true. I know, fair. But likewise, I've definitely been watching soccer games on Peacock and snap something, and just the convenience of being able to say, okay, yes, I am ready for that, and I'm going to put it in my Instacart and get it home in an hour is really, really powerful.
Well, a lot of it too, there's so much opportunity to make it as frictionless as possible on the buying side. But a lot of this actually is also about engagement. So this differentiated creative that's really contextually aligned, that is targeted in the right way, breaks through to consumers in ways that a traditional 15 or 30-second spot might not. Like I saw a study the other day that was talking about how Gen Z sees 270 ads per hour, right? So if you just think about that, how do you actually resonate with that audience? And for them, TV ads, full sight, sound, emotion that has a different creative element that has something drawn to Olympics and how do you pull them down the funnel actually breaks through for them, whether or not they buy in that moment or they go buy later on at night when they're thinking about what to eat.
Yeah, and TV is so fantastic at both building brand love and driving that engagement.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting now, the lean forward of not just on streaming, but that you can apply on linear as well.
Yeah,
with
and
the
you don't need
different
to
creatives.
choose now. You can tell that full story, but then also make it actionable, and consumers are increasingly expecting to be able to do that. So it's great to give that opportunity to discover, take action, and then for the brands, of course, to then fully understand what happens.
Yeah. One of the panels a couple times ago, Olga from Samsung was speaking about the use of data, and a few of the panels have had similar kind of themes. We're using data for targeting. How do you find that balance of data responsibility? How do your teams work together to make sure that you're using data in the right way with audience building? And always comes up as the question as we're talking about audience building and targeting.
You want me to start? So definitely, I mean, data responsibility, privacy, consumer expectations, all of that is incredibly important, of course, to both of our companies and both of our teams. So that was really important to kind of set those foundations from the get-go, make sure we really understood how do we make sure we're creating the right expectations around how audience and attribution data can be used. So that's really foundational for us. I think beyond that, it's looking at what are those kind of seeds of audiences that could be particularly valuable? What are the sort of out-of-the-box capabilities that might be very valuable, both from a consumer perspective to be targeted in the right way, but also from a brand perspective to make sure it's driving that sort of new-to-brand behavior. We've seen really strong new-to-brand results as a result of our partnership. I think we have an average of 37% new-to-brand purchases happening on Instacart coming from our pilot data together.
Wow.
So you can use audience segments like has shown interest in my category but not bought my brand, and just proxies for someone who might be interested in kind of tipping over the edge but hasn't quite yet. Could we reach them in that moment, and then can we make it really easy to actually get the product, as you said, in your hands in an hour or less? That's a pretty magical kind of modern technology moment if you think about it. You're bringing the physical really to life.
No, I was going to say, as a CMO, the
Yeah.
KPIs that you can actually bring back to your CFO buddy and to your CEO and say, hey, these are actually really meaningfully moving the needle. That's fantastic.
Yeah. I think that is one of the areas that's not talked about nearly enough on partnerships like this. I think we spend a lot of time talking about sort of the targeting capabilities, which are incredibly important and very valuable, as we've seen sort of through our beta. But actually condensing that data feedback loop is so critical for us to help prove performance and to sort of have table stakes when you think about Meta and others that are able to show, performance really quickly. Well, we know that TV moves products off the shelf, but we need to help provide that data. We need to get smarter ourselves about what's working and how do we optimize and why. And without that data, we've been sort of blind on that, right? So partnerships like this are so critical so that we can understand, well, this creative worked, maybe we should do this, maybe we should try to test that, and then help marketers make fast decisions and allocate appropriately. It's been the missing piece, quite honestly, from the linear side, and I think that streaming sort of changed the game because it opened up that capability, but we needed a partnership like an Instacart to help us really tell that story holistically.
That's super interesting. We touched a little bit on the sports already, but I'd love to double tap on that because, again, the work that you did, NBCU did, and Peacock bringing the Olympics out was fantastic. You have, Instacart has a commercial coming up on the big game. And just talking about the technology, I think hearing a little bit more about the virtual, talk to me a little bit more about the virtual concessions, because you touched on it really quickly, but the work that you two did together on virtual concessions is really interesting to learn more about.
So this was really part of Instacart's marketing team taking advantage of all of these capabilities that we talked about, really bringing to life the ability to, during the Olympics, be able to order the thing that you actually see on the ad that you're watching during the Olympics and get it into your hands through using a QR code. And so really bringing to life that opportunity to fully connect the dots for the consumer. And especially as you're staying and having fun watching the Olympics, you don't want to go out to the grocery store and get a few snacks. Why not actually get them delivered to your door while you're comfortably watching whatever games you want or whichever gold medal match is on at the moment. So this was hugely successful for us. We saw a ton of engagement, and it really has, again, inspired the ability to make that available to other brand partners across the board and make sure that we're offering those full kind of closed loop capabilities and actionable kind of shopping moments throughout the consumer journey on TV to really bring that to life at a much larger scale.
Yeah, I think to build on what Ali was saying, this partnership was really differentiated, I think, for three key reasons. One, the reach. It was not just streaming, it was linear. So this creative ran wherever consumers were watching the Olympics, right? So you significantly increased your potential to reach consumers. The second is the contextual alignment. Like, you got to actually talk about getting your snacks, while you're watching this game or that match. Like, you are talking and breaking through to consumers in a way that you can't when it's maybe just a 15 or 30-second spot in a movie that you license, right? This is the Olympics. And then the third was that Instacart was sort of the foundational partner to bring in other advertisers into the mix. So like Talenti was one of the partners, and we could not have done that without Instacart. So for us, like, this is a perfect example of a partnership that you can't erase both names and just put another name on and it works. Like, it only would work together for us. And as Ali was saying, the results showed for themselves. And you add those three together, you see performance in a way that you won't with more of a traditional 15 or 30-second spot.
Yeah, the power of shoppable is so interesting as well. We see it across the board as well. I'm going to open to questions in just a minute, but I do have one question more for both of you. Technology and the CES environment being the intersection of media, technology, commerce, all of these things converging. What are you most excited about for your partnership going forward?
Sorry. I mean, I think for us, this last year was sort of the foundational work to make sure the pipes worked, to make sure that we saw the results that we had hoped to see, I think, which we resoundingly saw.
Very much so.
And now it's just to pour fuel on the fire, right? So expanding what we've been doing from streaming to linear as well. So whenever you run an ad with NBCU, you can understand the power of that ad and how it performed, leveraging the targeting capabilities across both, ad innovation, how do we continue to amplify what we're doing on commerce, but pause ads and others. So again, it was really just to set the foundation and then to say, how do we actually leverage all the assets that Instacart has and NBCU has together to make this even stronger for clients?
Yep, couldn't agree more. It's very much taking that strong foundation and building on it. Very excited to extend to linear. That's a huge, huge opportunity across the board. So very, very happy to see how that's going to go. And there's just so much ahead of us to scale what we've been able to now prove in these really, really promising pilots and in Instacart's own marketing collaborations. So very excited to move it forward.
Any questions from the audience?
I've got one. You guys had some big news yesterday with regards to kind of joining forces to open up to kind of small, I guess, and medium-sized businesses, which is, I think sometimes we lose sight with the walled gardens in terms of the big opportunity with great content. When you guys talk about the partnership that you guys just described with Instacart, do you see that something that, I mean, all the way down to small businesses and medium-sized businesses will be able to tap into very easily?
Yeah, I mean, so the Universal Ads announcement that you were mentioning that happened yesterday, we are so excited about. I think this is an example, that's an example of when we sort of work together and band together to create a really incredible product for the advertising community. So we're really, really bullish on that. And, our belief on that is TV moves products off the shelf. One of the challenges has been that the reach has been dispersed, right? And we need to make it as easy for marketers as possible to get access to that reach to optimize in real time. And if we do it together, we have a real shot at driving performance for advertisers in a way that no one else can. And so, again, we're really excited about Universal Ads. On Instacart, absolutely. I mean, I think it's not just for people even who are suppliers or things are getting sold within Instacart. I mean, one of our beta clients was an alcohol whiskey brand, right? I think you might not think about that, but the performance was incredible. But even we have advertisers asking us to leverage this data to find people who are have near teenagers in the house because they need new auto insurance because their teenagers are going to drive, right? So how do we leverage those signals to help with many of advertisers, whether it be Fortune 500 or small and mid-sized advertisers as well?
Yeah, and I'll just add to that on the Instacart side, we have very strong partnerships with emerging brands who have been so eager to use the power of the digital shelf and the power of retail media data to really break through in an otherwise very crowded field and make sure that they're at eye level, just in the way that a more established brand might be at eye level in the grocery store. So that's been a huge way for emerging brands to break through, again, at the point of purchase, making sure that they're getting into the hands of new consumers. And now if you marry that with the opportunity to get this kind of broader exposure and tell the story and introduce yourself as an emerging brand to a consumer, that can be really, really powerful. We've also seen that with emerging brands, in many cases, since they're so digitally native, they're very eager to use data and use the latest and greatest technology to make sure that they're getting their message through in the most effective way and really measuring it end to end. So in many ways, they're really creating the trend in this space, and it's been exciting to see so many of them break through successfully on Instacart.
That's great. I've got one more question I'll take. Pause ads, you mentioned. I feel like you guys specifically are doing it at a level that, there's a variety of people that are trying to do it and obviously need a lot of scale to do it. Talking to you, Alison. What can you tell us at this point about the impact and kind of the breakthrough that's happening there? I mean, I continue to hear real stories from real human beings, friends, unsolicited, about how the pause led to a bathroom break that led to, I'm buying this ice cream. It actually led to the purchase. But tell us a little more.
Yeah, I mean, I was, before I started NBCU about a year ago, I was at Roku for 9 years and had such envy on a lot of the product innovation that NBCU was doing. And the amount of pictures I took of those pods ads and sent it to my product team at Roku, they wanted to kill me. So I'm a Bravo-holic, so I was just always on it. I think being case study of one, and as you mentioned too, like the impact, it's full screen real estate. It is targeted. We see it over and over again, the brand awareness, purchase intent, people who are buying, to your point, right off of the ad itself is tremendous. It sells out regularly. We just announced that we're expanding it into live sports. So the most premium of the premium environment, you think about the NBA that's coming up for us. We'll have 50 Peacock exclusive games in a given season, and all of those will be able to have pause ads. Like the opportunity to sort of marry the content you're seeing with what that real estate is tremendous. We're going to be partnering with Instacart to measure the impact of that so people can invest accurately. So yeah, it's been an incredible product for us. And so we're doubling down on that as well on Peacock.
Awesome. Yep.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Ellen. One question I have is you guys have talked about how, from an upper funnel standpoint, TV obviously has a lot of reach and a lot of scale. And you're talking about Instacart and, there's a lower funnel touch point with consumers. How are you guys addressing this with brands maybe not small to medium sized or small to medium and mid sized and big that don't have kind of that lower, digital touch point with people like at point of purchase? Like sort of like a car or, like you said, whiskey brands, like kind of hard to quantify that.
Yeah, and I think the focus sort of for the alpha campaigns have been the ones that are sort of bought traditionally on Instacart. And of course there's, I don't even know how many brands are able to buy there, but there's millions of, opportunities there. But I will say it's been surprising, and I've mentioned this to the Instacart team as well, how many brands want better data to actually find the right lifestyle moment. So, someone who's just had a child, you buy things, and I know this, I have 2 young kids, wildly different on Instacart than you did 6 months before that. Or someone who's a teenager, you probably are buying things that are different. And if you're an insurance company, you desperately want to get to people before they're in market, right? So there's been a lot of interest. I'll say, I don't know, Allie could probably speak to if they've been doing things before. We haven't yet, but I think it's an area that it's been coming up quite a bit.
Yeah, and one of the big focus areas for Instacart as well is that we are also in grocery adjacent spaces. So like you mentioned, alcohol is one example where it's on the aisles or within the aisles of the grocery store, but also many pure play players that are partnering with as part of that group of 1,500 retailers. In addition, we have Lowe's and Home Depot, we have Sephora, we have pet supplies, so many different ways to kind of connect that point of purchase across many different categories, in addition to traditional CPG. So beyond that, however, the idea of using Instacart's data as a proxy for a certain type of purchaser that you want to reach, even if your products are not sold in one of the retailer shelves that's available on our marketplace, that's also a really promising angle that we've seen some good early data on. So there's a lot of opportunity there, even if it's not going to be directly pointing to a sale at the end of the day. It still could help you kind of hone in on that very valuable consumer.
Any last questions? As a father of 2 teenagers, Sephora does not come in well that it's on demand now or aloe, but it's good to hear.
Thanks, great session. My question is regarding the data use. Ali talked about first-party data. Do you use any third-party data in terms of validating your campaign or helping partners in certain ways? Thanks.
Thanks. So from the Instacart side, especially in the context of this partnership, it really is about the consumer behavior and purchase data that's directly coming from Instacart. So all of the first-party component that you mentioned. So there's not a third-party component at this time. Certainly there are opportunities to activate with third-party data across many different platforms. So I'm not sure if you want to add anything on that.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we really are focused on making media marketers where they are and where they want to leverage, what data they want to leverage, right? So this is a really unique partnership that we have together. But of course, we work with third-party data partners. We work with Adobe. I mean, again, for us, we are hyper-focused on helping advertisers make their media as effective as possible. And so leveraging data is one key way that they do that.
Great. Thank you,
Dani, Alison, Ali, thank you so much. This was great.
Thank you for having us.